Learning how to remote view, connect with your guides, your higher self, even your star family really doesn't have to be difficult, and it's not what you think. A lot of times, I think we have this expectation on what it takes to connect and what that process looks like. But in this video, I'm going to share with you an experience I just had maybe 15, 20 minutes ago before recording this video of a brief remote viewing session, and I will walk you through how I initiated it, how it unfolded, and then at the end of this video, we'll go through a little bit of an exercise that will help get you um, into that space of allowing this information from the higher dimensions to come through and so that you can start to perceive it. So I sat down to meditate a little while ago, and I was sitting and I was just listening to music, and I had a thought come into me about remote viewing, about reaching out. So I opened myself up to receiving. Now, we often have expectations that say, okay, I need to try to do a specific thing here or there to get this process initiated. And that is really running into resistance on how this works. You see, consciousness is localized here in the field through your physical body, but it is also non local as that it exists everywhere. Now, you're focused into that aspect of you that is manifested here in this physical reality, in this physical body. So, everything that you perceive and everything that you are to become aware of is running through your body, meaning that it's kind of filtered down. The information slowed down to a lower level or a lower frequency, and it is slowed down and it is processed and perceived by you as the human aspect of you. So, whatever your beliefs are, whatever your limiting beliefs, your programming, and those types of things, that's going to really dictate how this expression of multidimensional energy manifests for you in your experience. So remember, everything is coming through to you if you are aware of it from your human perspective as being through the human vessel. Okay, so it's being squeezed down into a frequency where it can be perceived. So we may have experiences elsewhere on a higher in a higher dimensional field that when we actually process it and receive it here, it's through our pineal gland and all of that's active, it may be a very limited remembrance of that experience, okay, or a watered down remembrance of that experience, and it's going to be put into a context of a human experience based on what you know. Okay, so it's kind of hard to explain, but if I am off, visiting higher dimensional aspects, or maybe even my spirit guides or my star guides, the experience that I'm going to have from that is going to be put into a form that me as the human can relate to. So I may see my star beings, star guides as ET beings, okay, as a physical type of an experience, right? Because that's who I am here. So that information is pulled down and expressed through your beliefs. So if you have an experience maybe that generates a little bit of fear, and maybe you're very religious, you may have an experience of maybe some sort of an attack or a demonic situation or something like that. So that's all moving through you based on your limiting beliefs. So that is the first thing that is so important to realize. So when I sit down and I meditate, and sometimes I'm just trying to get centered, right? I'm trying to quiet my mind. I'm trying to connect with my heart and connect with my breath. But there are other times where all of a sudden I'll have a spontaneous thought about, let's think into a specific place or a specific location. And that can open up either a bilocation experience where you have awareness of what's happening here and awareness of what's happening in some other space or some other time, or it could be really an astral projection experience or even a remote viewing type experience. So today, when I get into my meditation, I'm sitting there and I start to uh, envision, first off, I just sit back, I breathe, I connect with my body, and I just hold space, right? And I become the observer of whatever it is that is ready to rise up. And I do this without judgment and without analysis, okay? So I don't have any expectations. I just kind of have a clear space. It's energetic. I'm not focused really on being physical in that moment. I'm just focused on being present and just being with the energy. And up out of that energy appeared a bridge. And it turned out it was the Golden Gate Bridge. Okay, it just formed into the Golden Gate Bridge. And I let that move through me. Wasn't sure what that was related to, but in these instances, your mind can get involved and actually limit the experience because it starts to think, well, what does this mean, right? It could have just meant that I'm opening up a bridge to maybe another location. Okay, so we're gonna just leave it right at that. All right, so that's the first thing. When you start to get present, you start to allow this energy to move through you. Don't judge, don't analyze, just be present with it, just observe it. If there's emotions with it, feel the emotions, okay? Because the emotions are messages and signals as well. So I let that image move through me. It was very clear and didn't analyze it, right? And the next thought I had went right to the South Pole, Antarctica. Boom, right there. It was like just in a heartbeat. Flip, there I am. Okay, so I have this vision of the South Pole, and all of a sudden, what comes forward next, and again, I'm just allowing this, I'm not attaching to any of it. I'm just allowing this to come forward. And you may be thinking, well, Mark, what if those are my rogue thoughts? Or what if there's something that's really not real? I really feel like I can't trust what I'm receiving, right? Well, that's the ego part of you. That's the part that has all of these expectations. That's the limiting belief that maybe you're going to be right, maybe you're going to be wrong. We got to kind of throw all that out the window when we're doing this and just be present with whatever's coming forward, okay? Because again, your brain and your body is going to morph this information into something that makes sense to you so that you can perceive it. Now, initially, some of it may seem like gibberish, but that's okay. But the more you practice and the more clear you become, those beliefs that shape these images and shape these experiences start to step into the background, and the subtle energy that actually is bringing these messages forward, these experiences forward, they come forward and they become more clear. And your pineal gland is really in sync and in tune. Your heart space is open, right? Your crown's open, and you start to receive all this amazing galactic information, right? But this was a very interesting one because I was guided to the South Pole, to Antarctica, right? So I'm focusing in on that, and I'm just allowing this to come forward. And the next thing I know is that I'm in a hallway, okay, a long hallway. This image just kind of forms and appears. And in this hallway, there were various flags of nations hanging on the wall. And I'm just observing this. I'm seeing all these flags. Now, the one that jumped out was the USA, okay? But this hallway, and this was in Antarctica, was kind of dark, and it felt to me, again, feeling almost deserted. So was I, looking at something that was a relic of the past? Was I actually in the past at this moment? I really don't know. The sense of that I got emotionally, the feeling that I got, that I was looking at something that was deserted, okay? And this is something we're going to get back to in a few moments because I reached out to my Pleiadian guide after this experience and got some answers here, okay? So I'm in this hallway, I'm viewing this hallway, and it's kind of looks deserted, right? It's a long hallway, it's kind of dark. There's nations' flags hanging from the walls, and all of a sudden I got the sense that we were on top of an old ET base, specifically a reptilian base. Okay, a reptilian base. This is just what I was feeling. I was just open and I was allowing this information to come forward. And what I received was that this was some sort of a joint military base that's deserted, that was on top of a deeper reptilian ET base that has long been deserted. Okay, and this just kind of came forward. And as this comes forward, you have to trust in the information. So one of the next things you got to really focus on is just, again, allowing this to come forward. Okay, so if you had like paper and a pen or a pencil, you could be jotting stuff down as you're doing this, right? Or when you're done with your session so that you could remember the details. So I had this sense that I was viewing this old joint military base that was on top of a reptilian abandoned base. Okay, that's just what came forward. So I just like, okay, I trusted it. Okay, now I don't know what it meant. I don't know when it was in operation. I had none of that. Didn't really matter. So I get done with this, And I had never really attempted to remote view. Usually I'm just focused on connecting with my guides. But when I sat down in this meditation, that's what came forward was this remote viewing. So I went ahead and I did that. So I connected with my Pleiadian guide when I was done with that little session there. And I got recentered and I opened myself up to her and I asked her what this was about. And she shared with me that this was an abandoned reptilian base. There was a joint military base above it. I think the military maybe came into this base um, after it had been abandoned, right? So I didn't get a sense that there was anything that was going on between these nations and the reptilians. And she had just shared with me that it was a reptilian base that had been abandoned and there was a military base that was above it. Now, I asked her if the Galactic Federation has a presence in Antarctica, and she says, yes, it does, that there is an energetic portal there. And what it is used for is that the fourth dimensional Federation craft come in, they move in and out because there's an energy source there that assists them with power for their craft. So it's all tied in with the planet, which was very interesting. She also shared with me that there is a very large Galactic Federation craft that stays, um, I guess, permanently, really, in orbit above Antarctica. Now, it's in a higher dimensional field, so it's unseen by us. But as she's sharing with me now, that aspects of the government knows that it's there. And recently, I think we had some SpaceX capsules. I think that there are some of these that are now going in a different orbit from north to south over the poles, right? So usually it's not that way. It's more like this. So, but this is a big craft and it doesn't interfere physically, but it could interfere with objects energetically as they pass through the shared space. But this craft is a Federation craft and it is basically stationed over Antarctica. And she's sharing with me there is a very powerful portal there. And it's actually something that apparently helps to modulate not only the Earth's magnetic field, but the axis of the Earth, the tilt of the Earth as well, which that's coming in real time. That I hadn't known before. She's sharing that with me now. But this is something that I was obviously guided into when I got into my meditation. So I want to talk about how you can start to open up to these kinds of experiences, okay? And really, the first thing, like I said earlier, the most important thing is you got to get out of your own way. You have to trust, okay? You don't have to analyze or validate every piece of information that you get, right? Because when you start to do that, you start to judge it and you start to question whether it's authentic. I shared with you what came through for me today. I don't know if anybody, I don't listen to other people really, very, very rarely. I don't know if anybody has shared information like this, any other remote viewers, what they've gotten, what they've received. This is just something that came forward for me, and I'm sharing it with you. And it's important to remember that there are so many different timelines happening at once, right? It's all happening in the now that we actually have the ability to kind of bleed into and experience other timelines as well. So I'm not analyzing any of this, I'm just sharing it with you. But again, what you need to do is to learn how to get centered and just detach from the mind and those expectations and allow information to start to come forward. And you can do this by just simply focusing your attention in your pineal gland, right? You could close your eyes, you could squint your eyes. And we can go through a brief exercise now to really start this process for you. So if you sit comfortably wherever you're at, if you're in a situation now where you're not driving, obviously, or focusing on something else, if you're sitting and listening to this video, go ahead and close your eyes and actually squint your eyes, right? Squint your eyes and maybe point your eyes up a little bit, right? You can feel that tension in the pineal gland, right? That's bringing energy to the pineal gland and it's bringing consciousness there. And where your attention goes, right? Energy flows. So you want to energize your pineal gland. And when you could do that and squint and feel tension there and just take a deep breath with that tension, Holding that squeeze and releasing. That just activates that. That just activates that energy. So take a few more breaths right now like that, and then we're going to shift into the heart space. So go ahead and create tension in that pineal gland, right above your eyes, right in the middle of your brow. Create that tension, squint, look up, keep your eyes closed, take a few breaths, and hold that squeeze. Go ahead, do that now. By doing that, what you're doing is slowing down the mind, right? You're not off thinking about what you got to do in 10 minutes. You're focused right here. You're contracting muscles up here in your brow, in your eyes, and you're bringing energy right there. But now let's focus into the heart space. So take your hand and place it on your heart, whichever hand feels natural for you. Take it and place it on your heart, close your eyes. You've got your pineal gland, you're aware of that. And now you're going to just take a breath in your heart space, pull your shoulder blades back, and just push your heart forward and take a deep breath in, draw it straight into your heart space and fill that now. And exhale. Okay, go ahead on your own and let's do that a couple more times. All right, the goal is to get centered and get aligned and quiet the mind. Okay, so go ahead, put your hand on your heart, expand that heart space, take a deep breath in now. And exhale. Let's do one more. I want you to hold that squeeze in your brow. So squint your eyes, focus them up, feel that squeeze and take a deep breath into your heart space. Fill that heart space and try to focus on that squeeze at the same time. Go ahead and breathe in now. And exhale. We've got energy moving now. Heart space, third eye, it's moving, right? We've got energy flowing. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to take a deep breath into the heart. Just take a deep breath. And I want you to clear your mind and sit and be present in the stillness right now. Go ahead, take a deep breath in. Be present in that stillness. And exhale. Now I'm going to turn it over to you. I want you to focus on your breath and just take 5 or 6 breaths. Just normal breathing. Focus on your breath. Focus into the stillness. But I want you to be aware of what comes up or rises up in that moment, in those moments while you're breathing. Just breathe normal. Close your eyes. You're a little bit more focused now. We've moved energy into the pineal gland. We've moved it into the heart space. I want you to just sit and breathe in the stillness and notice what rises up. Okay? Go ahead and breathe. Take 5 or 6 breaths, normal breaths, in the stillness, and observe what rises up now. All right. In the comments, you could drop in if you perceived anything, share it. What I perceived was it started with a green energy, and then what happened was I started to see a tree, and it looked almost like snow was falling from the tree, opened up, and I realized after I got that image that my son Alex actually is in Japan right now experiencing the cherry blossoms. So the vision was very close to that. So if you had an emotion or a feeling come forward or a vision come forward and you want to share it, drop it in the comments, okay? So we don't analyze what we're receiving, we trust, we just allow. That's what this is all about. It's just about getting into a space of allowing and allowing those subtle energies from the higher dimensional fields to move through you and start to make themselves known. Now, remember, they're going to get filtered into something that you understand or can perceive from the human perspective. Okay, so it's going to be based on your beliefs. So the more you start to step out of your beliefs and reprogram a lot of those limiting beliefs, especially if you've been very triggered or traumatized, programmed, if you've had sometimes a strong religious background, those types of things can control the throughput of this energy and really make it very, very limited. So you want to start to reprogram that by getting inside and just allowing whatever it is to come through and to trust it, okay? And you could even, after you do these little sessions, this is just a little basic session. I'm not getting too in depth in this YouTube video, but you could start to write down what you perceive. And as you continue to do this, you'll start to open up to more. What's going to happen is you're going to get to the space easier and you're going to be more trusting and allow visions and imagery to come forward. Now, for me, it was through a remote viewing session. Then I connected with my Pleiadian guide. And when I'm connecting with my spirit guide or even deceased loved ones, it's really very much the same process. The thing that differentiated the remote viewing from me than with speaking with my guides was that I had that thought initially to remote view and into the Antarctica. Remember, it started with the bridge, the Golden Gate Bridge, right? So when you start to be able to get into that openness, get into that spaciousness, you'll be able to direct what you want to do. It's like tuning it in on a radio to a different frequency. If I want to connect with my Pleiadian guide, I could have a thought that aligns me and it directs me towards her energy. Basically, I open up to be able to perceive her. Same with my main spirit guide or whatever else I'm trying to connect with or communicate with. Same as remote viewing, right? I had that thought to remote view, and that was the experience that started to unfold. So have fun with this. If cool stuff came forward for you, definitely share it. If you got a little bit of value from this video, give it a thumbs up. I do also want to share that my course, Connect with Your Higher Self, Spirit Guides, and Star Family, is available. I'm going to drop a link in the description. That's a really fun course, 2.5-ish hours of lessons to really teach you how to get in and really start to allow that energy to come forward to really establish those connections with the higher dimensional fields. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. See you next time.